Hi there, it's Mark here. Now, this is something completely different. Now, I wasn't actually going to do a video of this, but I've started to have quite a lot of fun doing it. And I thought I would share some of it. Now, this is kind of fun because really this is coming straight from my head. So you can kind of imagine, if you like, where my head is. Now this is pretty abstract. I've done this sort of drawing before. In fact, when I was at college, I used to do a lot of things like this. But this is going to be sort of done for a... Well, I didn't know what it was, but now I'm thinking it would make a nice card. We're talking, as I quite often do, a sort of Mother Nature theme, and as tomorrow is Beltane, and we're talking about summer, it seemed kind of apt, really. Now these sorts of drawings are quite good fun. It's a different style. It's not really working on how I would normally do a portrait, because it's a particular kind of poster style I'm going for, and I don't really want that exact portrait look. Now, what we're doing here with these, we're using colour pencils. I was going to do this as a watercolour, but I decided against that. I thought we would use... Now, this is great. Now, this is an eraser that is like a pencil that you can actually put a point on it. So it's excellent for removing bits and bobs and pencil lines in very precise areas that you don't want. Now, because this is kind of an abstract thing, really, we could do pretty much what we like with it, and everything kind of works because we're in charge of what's going on here. And the nice thing about abstract work is people can't really say, well, that doesn't look right, because bless their little cotton socks, they don't actually know what you were going for, do they? So that doesn't matter. But I don't know. I mean, you know, I thought it might be fun to do something like this. But like I said, you could start off using these pencils, like I said to you before, quite lightly. And actual fact, you can buy whole sets of these watercolour pencils specifically for portrait work, and it gives you various shades of pinks and reds that you can use. Like I said, I'm not really going for this realistic portrait look, because that's not really what I want for this particular picture. If that was the case, I would have taken a lot more time over drawing lines and squares and positioning your eyes in the right place, or how the great sort of exponents of anatomy would have you believe that that's where things should be on a perfect human being. Now, as we know, that's not really going to happen, is it? In the real world. Because we're all unique, which is what is the wonderful thing. Well, I think it is. Everyone is unique. Now, I don't think... See, with these things like noses and things, I've never seen two noses the same, and I'm sure you guys haven't. Well, perhaps you have, I don't know. That's a bit presumptuous of me then, when it's speaking on your behalf. But when you do these kinds of pictures, it really is about what looks right to your eye. You really don't have to worry about anything else but that, because it's your picture. I mean, on the off chance you were doing a brief of somebody else and they gave you instructions on what they actually wanted, then that's a different story altogether. But on this, that isn't the case. Now, this is where these pencils come in handy, because they can be blended. Now, of course, I said summer, so we've got lots of the early plants and flowers coming out, trees. I don't know about you guys, but we've had some rain here for the last few days, and it sent the garden into overdrive. All my hedges are thickening up, which is nice. And this is becoming quite pleasing to look at. And really, when you've got situations like we got at the moment, with this dreadful lockdown, these sort of pictures are great fun to do, because they just take up the time, and you end up at the end of it with something you can hang on your wall. Or in my case, I shall print this, hopefully, and sell some copies of it as cards. Now I put a few berries on here. Now I know in actual fact there aren't many berries around this time of year, but as I'm not actually doing any particular flowers per se, I'm just winging this and everything will be just made up as I go along, which I quite enjoy doing. Now, we could say this picture is the Earth Mother Nature. And if we wanted to, we could add the Green Man to this picture. This particular picture, I'm not going to do that, because I did one quite recently in a similar vein to that. This really is just going to be this particular design. Now, I don't know where we're going to go with this, because we've got trees here as well. Now, I'm using a mixture of pencil, which is my trusty, here we go, 0.5, which I quite like. You can get some nice thin lines. You can get these pencils in different sizes, but I tend to use the 0.5 most of the time. And I like using these because you can get a nice fine line. If you use a traditional pencil, of course you can sharpen the pencil, but the actual sharp line does not last possibly as long as you want it to, and you're forever sharpening it to get that point back. But with these, you have that nice point all the time. If you do tend to sort of pop the lead out too far, it will break. I must warn you of that. But that isn't actually a major problem. Sorry, Mr. DeMille, I hit your camera with my arm. Sorry about that. Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up. But we're going to put some yellows in here because we're talking about summer. So we really want some nice bright colours in amongst the greens. I think we do. Now, obviously there's a certain amount of natural skin tone going into this picture, but you can, if you want, like I'm doing now, add some other colours, but be mindful of the features. And you can use your pencil by shading to give those features a bit more definition, like so. Now, there wouldn't be so much brightness underneath the chin because that would be slightly in the shadow. But like I said, I thought I would just show you the progress of this picture. I wasn't going to, but I thought one or two of you might be interested in seeing. And really what I'm doing, again, I usually start from a focal point, which is usually the eyes, and I gradually work my way out, which is what I'm doing here. And like I say, with these pencils, you can give this picture some nice natural effects with these nice thin lines that you couldn't really do if you were using a standard graphite pencil. No. I find that very satisfying. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop this film clip now, and I'll do a bit more, and I'll come back, show you a bit more.